Sluts selling butts, them buttholes done been sold. Dogs breeding like bugs, rabbits are coat hangers. Killers killing and killing and killing. Nailsin News. 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 Where'd all the money go? Ain't nobody gonna know. Do you trust your meat to take a walk down the street? While killers be killing and killing and killing. Nailsin News. 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 Oh. Where'd all the money go? Ain't nobody gonna know. Do you trust your meat to take a walk down the street? While killers be killing and killing and killing. Nailsin News. 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 News.
Indeed, it is news. But first, there's going to be some artwork. You understand? I'm going to draw. It's what I do when I'm not talking about these crazy, horrible, disgusting news stories. And they're pretty bad. Terrible things happen out there. But don't worry, I'll be your guide. Me, Mr. Nailsin. Yeah. Anyway, look, it's Super Tip. You want to send a voice tip? It should work. I set it up. I did. I really did. And hopefully that'll work out. We'll see. Yeah. Then there's, PayPal if you want to do that instead. Just to be, nice. In the holiday season and all. Anyway, speaking of the holiday season, Halloween is upon us. So, guess I will endeavor to draw a potential new superhero or something like that. A man dedicated to fighting all the nasty assholes who laugh at his suffering, and he's had enough of their shit. And he's not going to take it anymore. But as it happens, he was taking a little tour of a particular kind of store that sold, certain kinds of masks. A demon sex mask. And thus, somehow, some way, this particular one granted him superpowers to become Demon Mask. So, we'll get right to it. There's my draw. Oh, yeah, I was drawing this chick with the booty. Her name is Comet Girl. Yes. Here's some karmic drawings from the other night that I did while I was sitting in on Pat's show. Not the other night, last night. And, geez, what is that crackle? It's a snap, crackle, pop. I don't like that. I guess there's nothing I can do. Damn it. Well, it won't stop from drawing this. So I don't know particularly what the demon sex mask must have looked like. He did say it had, studs? People were, of course, immediately going to the GIMP mask, popularized in Pulp Fiction. And so maybe that was the case. So I'm just going to go with something like that. I think it's a fair guess as to what the look of it is. And since, he says it was demonic. So I don't know if that means it had horns on it. I suppose that's possible. And maybe it was red in color. I don't know. But I'm going to stick with the black leather aesthetic for it as, because I think Carmick's jacket that has become his signature along with the sunglasses. But I don't suppose he'd be wearing the sunglasses while he's in the mask, though. That might be an interesting design. I don't know. Anyway, I'll get to it. And then after that, we'll take a little break, and then I'll delight you with tales of horrific crimes and the combination of lethality and stupidity in the stories of Nailsin News. Oh, yeah. All right. So, let's see. I'll do a basic sort of superhero type pose. So what you want to do is you map out where the head will go. And I don't know, maybe with like his dance moves that can play into it. Because he can probably outdance his opponents, primarily because they don't dance at all. But, that's how that would work. And then he would, if this got picked up for a television series, obviously the theme music would be of the sort of, dance club, disco genre of popular music, So, something like that. So, you have the background story of a lonely, isolated country boy feels he's been mistreated by the world, and fate intervened on his behalf when he came upon Demon Sex Mask, and it granted him these superpowers. I don't know what the powers would be, though. Just, the power to bitch all day. But I don't know what good that would do. So here we'll kind of like, maybe he makes the collar stand up, and go ahead and zip it together. Thinking like Ghost Rider, he got sort of possessed by this demonic force that sent him on a path of vengeance. And basically his stunt biker outfit became his superhero outfit. The main thing was his face turned into a burning skull, so it's going to be kind of hard to top that, I just figured, well, he's always doing his Evel Knievel bit, which was sort of the inspiration of the character, and so that becomes the overall outfit of it. But that flaming skull, that was the main thing. So, I don't know. Geez, what would be the powers? That would be the challenge. All right. So, a gimp mask that has demonic overtones, which, wouldn't a gimp mask be pretty demonic to begin with, Okay. So, I guess that would be where the sort of zip mouth would be. If I put the sunglasses on, I could put the sunglasses and have like his ring light that makes those sort of cartoon eyes. There's so many comedic happenstances that happens with this presentation. Oh man, it just it all falls into place. It's funny how that works out. But anyway, I guess I could try both while I'm in the pencil stage. So we'll just say it has little horn attachments on the top there. So he's almost got a Batman feature there. I might need to move this over a bit. There we go. And then there'll be where the eyes are. And the zipper. And then, of course, he has his bug eyes. But he's got that crazy look, and the criminals beware, demon mask is, on the prowl. And it only cost $100, So, that's pretty much the deal, Like that. All right. Now, usually like off to the side, we'll go ahead and draw Karmic in what would be his civilian identity of mild-mannered YouTube streamer Carmichael. Gain the powers and abilities of Demon Mask. There we go. Something like that. They all think I'm a joke, but they don't know the terrible vengeance and power of Demon Sex Mask. So, I don't know. I guess once he's got the mask on, he's quite the ladies' man, and he's just like seducing women all over the place. Could be that. Or he's, pegged. Yeah, I don't know. Did Pat play that drop clip that he's got? I don't know. But, so there we go. That's pretty much. Oh, there were these duds. I don't know. Maybe there was like little things that made up his eyebrows or something. I don't know. But he said it, it fit like a glove, like truly fate had played a role in this encounter that he had with the mask. And at whatever this sex shop, but damn, already out of ink on that one. You bastard. Well, I'll just use the old standby. And we'll get to this, we'll get to that. We will do this. And You know, the thing of it is, especially in the 90s, this would have been an actual character, you know, it's this demon mask. And then you could have, like, other characters who, you know, they come into possession of the mask, and then suddenly they have the demon mask powers. Stuff like that. But it always comes back to Karmic, you know. He's the one true a bearer of the demon mask. Oh, I just want someone to care about me. Oh, you know. And but still, he's burdened by this thing. And can he use these dark powers for good or evil? Because typically, like the supervillains, they don't get their own title. You know? So this would be this dark anti-hero. Oh, oh no. And he's got to battle, you know, those pieces of shit. You know? That would be one of his catchphrases when he takes on a group of unruly a-holes, mostly men. He comes from the Valley of Men, but he really hates men, you know? I mean, all right, there may be a handful that are sort of okay, but for the most part, they're all pieces of shit. And, well, he doesn't like that, you know? So he's going to do something about it with the powers of the demon sex mask. There we go. Got the little zipper there. And I gotta put in some details that it well, it is a black mask, but it's shiny, you know. I don't know if it's absolute leather or if it's like a vinyl thing. Probably more like that. And leather would probably make it more expensive. A little more than, I don't know, $100, but so it's probably that. But it doesn't matter. It's the supernatural powers within it that makes it so amazing. And that makes the deal. So I don't know. Maybe he can shoot fire out of his hands when he's in the mask and crap like that. Oh, who's laughing now? You fuck. You know, like. Ah, shit, I might have to actually do something with that. Maybe I'll come up with a demon mask narrative for a Doodleverse comic. I mean, I already got him as a doctor in a couple of them and stuff like that. Oh, oh. details in here and there. That the jacket has it. You know, it really fits with the mask. I imagine it would, especially if the mask is black. So, but even if it is red, it would still probably work. You know. So I guess he's got to get some leather pants to go with it. I don't know. There's that demon sex mask. Whoa. Whoa. Demon sex mask has a message for all the assholes out there. Fuck you. Fuck you. Once you hear that, it strikes evil. It strikes horror in the hearts of evildoers everywhere. Because now, Demon Sex Mask has you in his sights. And it's gonna suck to be you. So, here I would put, so there's Karmic thinking about his new identity as a, demon mask. And so it's kind of like the Spider-Man cover where, sure, they marked poor mild-mannered and sweet, gentle boy Carmichael. But now, they will tremble and quiver in fear, at the power and might of Demon Sex Mask. Pam, pam, pam. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, you fucked up and now you're gonna find out. Let that be a lesson to you. Yeah. So, this would be like an inset to the image. There we go. I mean, people can say what they want, but you gotta admit that his rants and whatnot have led to quite a few inspirational things. Certainly in my case, I didn't really think of it as, oh, well, this gives me an idea. I don't know. Well, funny how that works out, But that's life. Despite the horrors and trials and tribulations, life does have a sense of humor, Unlike some people. So anyway, there we go. That would be the deal there. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, wait, no, it wouldn't be that kind of music. It would just be Demon Mask, Demon Mask, Demon Sex Mask. Ooh. Something like that, All right. There he is. Ah, jeez. Damn, where's my little straight edge here? Damn it. These won't do. I could draw a little, I don't know, like a brief cityscape behind him. Damn, I usually have it here, my T-square, you know? Well, maybe I'll have to save that for later. Could use one of the old standbys from Photoshop. Let's see here. Very unwise to eyeball it. Highly unprofessional. Not prepared at all. Right in front of everyone. Good Lord. Well, maybe about there. And have the basic line. It's almost like the typical Jack Kirby background of city. In the city, in the city, in the city, in the city. Just sort of buildings here, there, and everywhere. I don't know. What do I do? Depict this in Cincinnati? Something like that. Or, I mean, if I did it in his hometown, it would just be a convenience store or two. Maybe. Shit, I don't know. I don't know what the font is of his own title, but that would be the perfect font for Demon Mask. Do 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 maybe that. Basically.
Well, that just looks like a bunch of rectangular shapes.
Yes. It is. That's really all the city is, actually. Nothing but rectangular shapes. Some squares. There are. But for the most part, rectangular shapes. This. Yeah. Yeah. Of course, you got to come up with a cast of characters, you know. So I guess all the Dabbleverse streamers would be the villains, you know. And you know who would be the girlfriend. But even like coaxing it or couching it as a tale of a very delusional man, and you're left wondering how much of this is true or real, and it's just his perception. Did he actually have any superpowers? I don't know. Was he in a relationship with this? I kind of remind me there was this brief sort of backup comic book story in Daniel Klaus's 8 Ball. That was a cool series in the 90s that he did. And it was, damn it, why am I blanking? Black Nylon, I believe it was called. But it was sort of this weird take on Batman. And it was this guy he ran around in this suit of his that was sort of like a Batman suit. And he had all these weird delusions about his life, and yet for the most part some of it was very true. He had this romantic interest in his therapist. And then come to find out that she was just some woman who was into banging superheroes. And she had gotten tired of him and was banging some other younger superhero. It was hilarious and weird at the same time. It was just really cool. A bit unexpected because Daniel Klaus was not really a superhero comic book artist. But, he delved in it in his own strange commentary of it all. A couple of his stories went on to become films. Ghost World was one. It's the same concepts and stuff in Ghost World that the comic book did, but very, very different, plot-wise and narrative and stuff. But the same idea. Basically, there's primarily these two teenage girls coming to the end of their high school year, and they'd been friends a long time, but it's obviously once school's over and you're going into adulthood, usually you don't maintain those friendships anymore and that kind of thing. The other one was really just a one-page thing he did about being in art school, and it was called Art School Confidential, and that inspired the movie, which is interesting, but it's this whole thing, and there's this serial killer and everything. That was not in the original story. The original story was just that you're basically, you really need to, it's a terrible situation to be in. I mean, you do pick up skills from art school and things that you wouldn't have known otherwise. Certainly the art history classes are very interesting and all of that. But as far as building a life on it and having a career and whatnot, you're much better off going like to a trade school or something, which is true overall for when it comes to college and all that. I think pretty much everyone's coming to that conclusion now. And then there's a lot of just absolute charlatan classes. I mean, I can't remember the other day I was listening to some show and they were going on about, because they'd been doing these classes that are like on television shows, and then there was a class on understanding Taylor Swift and stuff. And you're going to get a degree in that. That kind of stupidity. But ultimately, your only outcome of that is you might be, if there's an opening, and they're very few and far between, become an art professor at a university, and you might get a good gig out of that. The rest, if you can understand and deal the concepts of advertising, and you got to understand the business world, which a lot of artists just don't, and just can't handle it, and that sort of thing. But a lot of that was about some of the it's just fantasy and whatnot in the art class experience. It's not like it's all, you know, a fraud to a point. I mean, some of these people generally believe the concepts, and I mean, the professors, well, they got a gig at the school and they're doing what they love and they do their shows and all that. But as far as becoming an art star, well, it's kind of akin to, well, I don't really have any skills. I don't want to be a plumber or something like that. So I think I'll do what I really love and want, which is to be a rock star, or a movie star. Yeah. And it's damn near like that. So the odds, people do it. It does happen. But the odds that that's going to be you, what do you think? Yeah. And everybody tells you, but, you're so wrapped up in it, you don't listen. And, well, but even if you buckle down, and you go on to graduate school and all that, I mean, you might make a good candidate for an art store and supplies and stuff, but you could basically just get the same amount of income working at Walmart. Probably even better. So, career-wise and a future, it's going to be tough. And there was some guy, some visiting professor came in, and he had some amount of success with museums and galleries and all that sort of stuff on top of his teaching career and all that. And he just flat out said, look, you need to be thinking about, a backup plan and all that, because it's tough out there, even if you're really good. And of course, just the number of positions and stuff. So anyway, boy, I just went off on a tangent. But Art School Confidential was a one-page strip, but it touched on those things. And it was obviously like bitterness on Klaus's part that he went through that and ultimately concluded it was a waste of time. In interviews and stuff, it was the same thing, that approach I had. Well, it wasn't a complete waste of time. There's certain skills that you just wouldn't have known, even though, oh, wow, I really love drawing, and so I took art class. But you learn an awful lot in there. Then there's stuff about, the college experience. There was friendships and experiences there that, I wouldn't want to give up, despite the fact that I was a failure at pursuing anything from whatever I gained from it. Because even because eventually I said, well, I better get into advertising. And boy, the gigs were few and far between. And some people do very well at it. This is true. Although lately, some people who really had a pretty good run of it, well, now the technology it's always in flux, and we're constantly in this state of transition between how things are done and from what they used to be. And there's just no way to keep up. I mean, you got people who are probably in their early 30s and they're already obsolete as far as their skills are. And with AI and everything, I mean, sure, you can have your passion, but it doesn't go very far in a lot of ways. And as far as the art stars that would come, all of that, and it really goes back to Andy Warhol, who said, look, you want to make it in the art world, you're going to need to know, you're going to have some rich friends who, they're into it because they're so damn rich, they're kind of bored with all the other vices of life, and a lot of them end up becoming obsessed with art. And they want to collect it and stuff. And so, then there'll be someone new, and some of you came up with some sort of presentation or what have you in painting or sculpture or something like that kind of catches the eye. And how do you do that? You get lucky for the most part, but the thing of it is, the rich friend Well, you get them drunk at a party, you know, and you convince them to buy your thing. And after that, they're going to tell their other rich friends that, oh my God, look what I got. You got to get in on this. And sometimes it works. Sometimes it works very, very well. And this scenario happened again and again and again. Even though this quote-unquote work is it's crap. I mean, it's just anybody can do it. I mean, there was literally situations where one guy's, I guess it's akin to the found object sculpture. Now, some of the found object people would actually try to do something of their own ability with it. Found object is just, it's what it is. You find things like in a junkyard or something like that, and you cobble it together and say, oh, this is my piece on, you know, longevity or whatever the hell your narrative is supposed to be. And but this one incident of it was a guy, it was just like a plastic basket with you know, like beach balls in it, in which he just went and bought at, I don't know, a Target or something. And then, yeah, but I'm the one who put it together here, you know. And it's like, well, it was in the gallery, so now it's, you know, it's a work. It's a work, all right. And somebody's spent $100,000 for it or whatever, because I've got to be the one. So you're taking advantage of this obsession that someone very wealthy, probably because daddy or grandpa made all the money, you know, and they're bored. And they developed almost a psychosis due to the boredom. And so that I got it. I got the plastic basket full of beach balls, and you don't. So they get all very meow meow about it and stuff like that, you know. But hey, it's to your advantage. Because you're the one who thought, you know what? You know, I could draw and paint something, but geez, look how long it's taken me just to do this, you know. But a basket full of beach balls, that shouldn't take long at all. And it's, I don't know, $200,000 in my pocket. Holy shit. You know, so if you can swing that, why not? And it's on the buyer if they're like, hey, wait a minute. I think I've been had. Well, ultimately, you've been had by yourself. Yeah. So things like that would occur. And that, of course, comes down to, yeah, Warhol was right about that. I didn't really see what the big deal was about Warhol, but he lucked into a moment and all that. Or all he ever did was silkscreen prints of photographs. But, hey, yeah, the right people said, hey, look at this. And he's like, huh? I mean, yeah, right. Look at my shizniz. And they did. And, you know, he had a pretty good life out of it. He had all the fun he wanted. Running around in his wig. And then, I can't remember. Was he an owner of Studio 54 or something? I can't remember that whole thing. But basically, you know, he just became a celebrity type. They wasn't really much of an artist anymore. But so what, you know? You know. But that sort of thing, of course, is about as rare, if not some cases even more so, than, you know, I'm just going to start a band and become a rock star, you know, or I'm going to go audition and become the next Tom Cruise or whatever. It's that kind of thing. And those are the odds. That's what you're up against, choosing that as your career. Because a lot of times it's like, well, you know, you sold this, you sold that, and you made some bank for a bit. But obviously you probably have no real mathematical skill enough to understand you maintaining a nest egg and that sort of stuff. Because eventually, the vision's going to go, the arthritis is going to kick in, and you can't keep producing. And then you're so messed up you can't even really work a cash register. And oh shit. But such are the trials, tribulations, and travails of life. Yes. There we go. Wow. Original comic book art for Death Mask. Not Death Mask, Demon Mask. I think that probably is a Death Mask. But Demon Mask, it does sound like a 90s comic book character. There's a lot of them that were really over the top. I mean, look, all the good names for comic book superheroes have already been taken. It's Superman, Batman, Spider-Man. Those are all the good ones. Wonder Woman. And then eventually it's like... I think Robin was probably one of the Dick Grayson's Robin. Eventually they decided to, he's an adult now. And they came up with this story where he decided to strike out on his own. And so instead of, Robin's a little boy superhero name. That's a sidekick. And I'm on my own now. So he became Nightwing. And actually Nightwing is a pretty popular character. It has quite a following and stuff like that. But just the name. What? It's a wing at night. But, I suppose it could be worse. He could have become the one-winged dove. I don't know. Oh, jeez. All right. So, I'm going to have to put some color to that and come up with a title mock-up and stuff. And then, I got to do the corner box art for a Demon Mask. I guess he'll be running or something like that. And then that'll be fun. Weasel Claus says, here we go. It continues on like that for quite a while. Oh, and then some more. Oh, etc., etc. Oh. Then he says, LOL. Then says... hello, but it wasn't that long. Susan Dolan says hi. Everybody's saying hi and everything. It's great, And, everyone's still saying hi. Ellen J. Maddox, Doug is so tiny, and look at his hands. Yes, they're enormous. Behold the hand. Oh, what's that? Oh, yeah, I got a little cut there. Yeah. Don't worry, it didn't get infected. I'm fine. But it's a blemish on my perfect hands. Look at those hands. Boy, that's something, huh? Took a lot of work avoiding manual labor. Didn't get to avoid it entirely. But I did wear a lot of gloves. I did bathe in sunblock. Bird64, hello. Okay, more hello. Susan Dole, oh dear God, no, disco is dead. It should stay that way. Well, yeah, but it did transform in sort of the, I don't know, dance club pop crap. I don't know. That's what he likes, And, there's electronica went off on its own thing. So I don't know. It's what it sounds like to me anyway. But, that would be the soundtrack. I'm sorry, but this is inspired by Karmic X. So, no relation to Malcolm, but still, that I know of anyway. Pell, someone said Carm looks like Alien DeGeneres? Or you meant to say just Ellen DeGeneres? Now, that's the first thing I think about when I see him. They're both blonde. Gotta say, I don't really see it, but, Asperg Snake says, Ellen DeGeneres. Yeah. What if Ellen just went on her show and started, apparently that's the way she was behind the scenes, She just goes out there and just, you fucks. You can all kiss my ass. Fell out for fits perfectly. Yellen DeGeneres. Bird 64. Hello. Okay, more saying hello. A. Thompson. Joke is on Brian Landon. Karmic saw a mask in CVS. It was just the mask from Scream. He had never seen anything like it. That's it? I thought he actually said that he and Gilly went to, one of those adult stores. And, they had the usual, you got your porn, you got your toys. And then there were the masks. And he was just, oh. And then it fit like a glove on his head. Pellel, if he was a wrestler, he'd be Gay Mysterio Jr. Yeah. But see, that would be one of the things. He's determined to prove he's not gay. And so all his enemies would be constantly telling him that. And he said, yeah, but look at you. Serenity. No! As Karmic's mod, I'm here to merely observe and report. Okay. Hey, look. This could really go somewhere. He could be Demon Mask. I haven't really thought up what the powers would be, though. I mean, I'm assuming there would be. Maybe he's just one of those like Batman. He doesn't really have any powers. But I don't know. He just cusses people out until they just like, all right, I'm leaving. Maybe that would work. A. Thompson, was it a plague mask? It didn't sound like everybody. I mean, it sounded like one of those masks like the Gimp from Pulp Fiction. He said it had studs on it. And I don't know what else. The way he said it was like a demon mask. So I just assumed it had horns in it. It probably, maybe it didn't. I don't know. I mean, he didn't buy it and wear it. He said, okay, Brian, you got a deal. I'm going to go buy it. And, he paid him $100. Here's $100, if you buy the mask. And he said, all right, I'm going to buy it and put it on, And, it'd be a funny goof or whatever, but I guess he backed out of it. Pellel, those horns on the mask should be penises. Well, Serenity now. I'd like to think it was just a DVD cover of Mask with Jim Carrey at a Goodwill. Well, yes, this would go into the interpretation of reality is filtered through Karmic's perception would be the fascinating thing. And so it could very well be that's all it was. Which then again, I'm sure the DVD of Mask didn't cost anywhere near $100 at Goodwill. So, and of course, how are you going to wear it? It's a DVD cover. He holds it up to his face and, oh, this is what it was. Oh, I don't know. Hey, Thompson, Minnesota sex shop equals place where he buys condoms and KY. Had some Scream mask by the counter. It's possible. It's possible. The Scream mask with its mouth wide open. Yeah. Oh no, Karmic, the call came from within the house. Serenity now. Karmic is mana for life. Wow. Serenity now says free Susan Karmic. Susan Karmic? Is that his sister? I don't know. Serenity now says the valley is merely a dojo. Yeah. Well, we all know who Sensei is. Pellel, so to him, he comes from the valley of jerks. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's always a to be continued or stay tuned, Alan J. Mannix, get your demon sex mask Karmic at any Kmart location. Get in on the action with demon sex mask Karmic's turbo fist. Turbo punch, turbo block. That's right. Yeah, he blocks. So you are block. Oh. Yeah. That could be. Serenity now. Mr. Spurg doing well. Writing a karmic parody song. How about yourself? Susan Dolan. Doug, I think you're enjoying this character too much. You're probably right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a comic book guy. That's, Spurg Snake now. Oh, Serenity now. Oh, word. Oh, can't wait. Want to hear the song, right? Yeah. Pellel, with the eyes, he can pass as Darth Shmuel. Serenity now. Always happy to see a fellow cast off from the island of Karmic. Oh, you've been cast off? You're not the mod anymore? Oh. XM, or maybe it's Zim Demon Mask, aka the Seaman Demon. You see, that could be in the lyrics of the theme song. A Blight of the Valley of Men. There you go. There's the first lyric of the song. Shit. Serenity now. Hey, Spark, what exactly did you say that was unforgivable? I don't remember anything that bad. Oh, so Spurg's the one who, where you turned into a block, Spurg. He says, I put in the chat, but I really think it was everyone being nice to me, LOL. But he is upset over being called gay, and I defended Taz and Pat. Oh, well, you can't do that. Oh, no. Susan Dolan, WKRP in Cincinnati. Karmic does have a great voice. I know it's got a lot of funny quirks and whatnot, which would be a plus. He could have done radio. Just on that alone. Now, you would need a coach to understand protocol and all that and presentation. But probably could have done it. And there you would be, unlike Johnny Fever, he would like the, dance music stuff, A Pello Karmic XXX with the mask. Well, yeah, there is the other possibility. Oh, check out my OnlyFans. Oh, Spurg is laughing. Pello, I hated school until I graduated and just worked. Oh, yes. Yeah, high school seemed like quite the pressure cooker, and then it's over, and you were like, gee, it was only 4 years. What was I so upset about, Nodak, car mask. Yeah. But see, that would be giving away his secret identity, Oh, a demon mask. Pellel, you are going to build a loan debt learning about Taylor Swift? Apparently, yes. I mean, that's the thing that's been going on for a while. I think there were like classes on the Twin Peaks TV show and shit. It's a crime. Come on. Susan Dolan, getting a degree in basket weaving would be far more productive to the student. Well, there is that, you make those and look at those cool designed baskets and whatnot. And then today, you could put them on Etsy and you can make something. Mark XRP, Doug, were you inspired by Mad Magazine? Yes, 100%. The biggest influence. It's not like it's like, this is going to be my influence. It's just, I kept going back to it. And Mort Drucker and Angelo Torres were huge on that. When it came to the superhero comics, I guess Kyle Baker comes the closest to that look, But that was a huge influence on it. It was always like, it's basically the default of whatever. I can draw in other styles and stuff, but that one, it was huge. Mark XRP, Susan Dolan. His style is Mort Drucker, at least by my eye. Yeah, Mort's the main deal. Snake. I have said the same thing about Mad Magazine. Yeah. Hello. That does stink. The mental creativity squashed by computer technology. Well, to a point. I mean, no one knows. That's the thing. You're constantly, like I said, a technological transitional phase that has its impact economically and on skills and talent and whatnot. When it comes to art, I mean, painting itself, people still do it, even though by technology standard, it died a long time ago. So it's a weird thing. It's not akin to like, oh, well, the automobile ended the horse carriage industry, which it did, you know, and that sort of thing. But as far as competitive and needing graphics and whatnot, pretty much really over. I mean, you can whip an image up through a prompt within seconds, and you don't have to hire anyone. You couldn't even draw a straight line, so what do you need the artist for? You know? So then the artist is kind of like, oh, I'm going to have to actually be creative to outfox that. Going forward, I mean, that AI is dependent on what's available through the internet. So it's stealing from multiple sources, combining and creating a new one. They say, well, a lot of art is derivative. Here I am drawing like I'm Mort Drucker. I'm not Mort Drucker. So, is it the same? Not exactly, because taking from Mort Drucker, Angelo Torres, and Tom Richmond, who succeeded them at Mad Magazine, and that sort of thing, and making a combination of it is the means by which AI does this, but it's literally lifting from the actual artwork those men produced. And such is the case with even with the photographs and stuff. There's, it's recognizable. It's really fascinating to look at and play with and everything. But ultimately, it's not really original in that sense. It's one thing to be inspired, but that's not inspiration. So I don't know if they could ever really get the legal definitions for it. It's just, unless you do something with it, like what I do, I'll take some AI and stuff for some of the Kumia show things for backgrounds, like buildings or rooms or trees and that sort of thing, and put that in there. And then I do either my cartoon drawing I did of Anthony, or I Photoshop him into some character or what have you, and put it in that. Rather than just going through the catalogs of stock photos and stuff that I did for those Photoshops. And so it comes in handy for that. So theoretically, and I would need Anthony's permission to try to sell images like that as my work, for copyright purposes and whatnot. But just doing one on my own, say I Photoshopped a photograph of myself in one of those things with the AI background, could use that commercially, but just the initial image of, say, a landscape or a building or whatever, can't really copyright that, because it's AI, so you can't copyright that in and of itself. But to use it as a background or what have you, or one element of an overall work, that's a different matter. Mark XRP, how much for a Doug? Yeah, I know I need to do this. Now I'm thinking of different ways. I could just open an eBay store and put those on there. I haven't even really looked at Etsy. Maybe that would be a thing, and just have a Doug Nailsin Etsy store. And I get the order and I go, going back to the post office, got to mail this out. And maybe that would work. And, I'll come up with a price and stuff. I'm not done with this, though. But yeah, but I'm really stupid that way. What else can I say? I should have been on this. I do have the comics. Gonna make more of those, and I'll put the link is in the description, but I'll also I'll give a little advertisement of the comic book store that has my comics. Let's see. There's a lot of crosstalk here. Thompson, I missed the last week of games. Evidently, he blocked Doom, Mersh, and a few others. Now a mask grift. Yes. Yeah, I guess he blocked Doom. I can't remember. I'm sure. He's always... Well, he complains about everybody. But, yeah, Mersh, sounds like he didn't really want to, but, orders. And so he had to. And then, the mask grift thing is recent, I believe. And so, yeah, that's you're all caught up. Mark, I have a lot of Mad. Yeah, I got tons of Mad magazine. Pillel, so you're saying Warhol is a hack? To some extent, not exactly, but that point he made about you want to make it big in the art world, well, of course, it's mostly going to be luck, but if you've got rich friends who are obsessed with collecting art and you can convince them to buy one of your pieces and they boast about it to their rich friends, you're in. And that's largely true. It's very much who you know. And you can tell by some of the work. At least he did some things, you know. I mean, while I was still chasing that, I remember Damien Hirst was the big superstar in the art world, and most of his stuff is just, and it was like, I guess it's supposed to be akin to alternative sculpture or whatever, but he had like this shark cut up in pieces and encased in glass, and that was the work. I mean, no, you hired guys to construct that. It was his idea. So, you know, and a lot of it's very abstract. He did one that was very simple that he had to have had an actual hand in its construction, but it was just simply called A History of Pain. And it had these jagged, triangular shapes suspended over this table. And I forget exactly what the elements of the table was, but it says, well, at least that does correspond something with the narrative suggestion of the title. But for the most part, why this was the superstar of the New York art scene at the time, you got me. And it was funny because I remember him giving a statement in an interview. It's like, well, sure, you can schmooze a lot of art gallery people and art magazine editors and whatnot, and then you're good. But ultimately, when you're not around to basically bullshit your way, your artwork has to stand on its own. And I'm like, that's true. That is true. The artwork itself has to stand on its own for the viewing public, not just a handful of a niche crowd or whatever. And yet that's exactly what he was. I don't think that stands on its own at all, other than, well, this was an error, wasn't it? So Mark XRP, I sold the last Mad magazine on eBay for $55. So you parted with your precious treasures, but you got some cash. So congratulations, you know. Alan J. Mannix plus extreme nepotism. Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah. Mark XRP, Demon Mask has massive calves. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I don't really know what Mark likes Nightwing. Yeah, Nightwing has a quite a following. Red Hood was dumb. Red Hood, there's ebbs and flows. There was a couple of series they did. Basically, he's DC Comics' answer to the Punisher, you know. It's kind of what he is. For a brief moment, they had an interesting, it was Red Hood and the Outlaws, and he was teamed with one of the other Wonder Women. Artemis, I guess. So he kind of had his own Wonder Woman. And then instead of Superman, it was Bizarro. But I don't know. It was kind of a comedic trope. It kind of worked for a bit, but it didn't last. I don't know what that latest thing they did. It got canceled because the crazy writer celebrated Charlie Kirk's murder or assassination, you know. And Nightwing is a cool name. Well, the name was actually a name that came from an old Superman comic where Superman and Jimmy Olsen went into the bottled city of Kandor. And of course there, Superman didn't have any powers. So he and Jimmy Olsen, he said, hey, we can be the crime fighters of Kandor. So he decided to copy Batman and Robin. So he took on the name Nightwing and he had a costume. And Jimmy Olsen became his sidekick, Flamebird. I guess he didn't want to use Firebird to be confused with the car. And so that was the original Nightwing and Flamebird. Of course, when Dick Grayson decided, man, I need a name. I know, I'll take that old Superman name, Nightwing. He's not using it, and became Nightwing. And I don't think he ever got a partner called Flamebird. No, like Darkwing Duck, yeah. Batman has a new costume coming. He's always changed. They always do that with the costumes. They did something with his chest symbol where they gave it a really long tail, unless that's not the tail for the bat. Yeah, well, all right. What was the first Marvel movie? Marvel movie. For an actual movie, I don't guess the Captain America movie matinee serials would count. That goes way back when. There was the Captain America TV movies in the 70s. Because I think they were pushing those to be a TV series. Like Spider-Man had a TV show. The Hulk had one. They did. No, the Fantastic Four one never came out. There was a 90s Captain America movie. I don't know if that one, and there was a Doctor Strange TV movie as well. Just one, though. I don't know. Maybe the Captain America, 90s movie. You got me there. Pella, your hand modeling career is over. I know. I cut it at work. It's always some dumb crap like that. Alien DeGeneres sounds right. Well, see, she could have gone off into a sci-fi TV series. Is the dude in the bottom right Don Knotts? No, that's supposed to be karmic. When I finish it up, he'll be opining on his dual life as Demon Mask. I guess no one else is guessing. That was my guess, was the 90s Captain America movie. I'm putting a hello to all down here, too. Well, everybody say hello to Nodak. Our Mark XP knew it, probably an unknown earlier TV show. Only other was Hulk, but that's a TV show. Right. I don't know if he's counting TV movies or the movie serial era from the 40s. There was a Captain America movie serial. And as far as Marvel characters go, I think that was it. DC had, Superman and Batman. There were serials for that. Now, Shazam, Captain Marvel, as he was then, he wasn't a DC character yet, but he had a movie. It's probably the best one done of the era. They managed to figure out how to do the flying scenes. And basically, they just had this doll in forced perspective and whatnot, and had him fly around, and it looks great. For Superman, they just, he jumps up and then suddenly turns into a cartoon Superman and flies away. It's just like, Mark XRP. The cartoon is called Mr. Furley versus Demon Mask. Yeah. Howard the Duck. That's right. Yes, George Lucas did Howard the Duck. In the 80s. Yeah. That's true. Yep. Howard the Duck. First Marvel movie. The wrestler's name I mentioned was Rey Mysterio Jr., hence my hackery. Nodak says, Karmic does seem like he's like a bunch of he'd like a bunch of studs by his face. Well, he did compliment the studs. Howard the Duck almost stopped all future Marvel movies because of its poor response. Yeah. George was very upset about the reception. DJ Play Nice says, good morning, Mr. Nailsin. Good morning, DJ Play Nice. It took over a decade before another Marvel movie was made due to the fallout. Yeah. Had had no idea Howard the Duck was Marvel. Yes, yes. Pella, Howard the Duck shows up in the. Yes, he was at the Collector's, one of his pieces, locked in a glass case, I believe. In Guardians of the Galaxy, I believe. Mark, it was underrated as far as I'm concerned, but the duck-human sexual relationship, yes, obviously, when she, I mean, look, I didn't mind her prancing around in her panties, but she's getting in bed with a duck. Alan J. Mannix, Doug, check your super tips. I might have sent you a super tip an hour ago. Oh, my God, I am so very sorry. And what do you know? Good Lord. Well, I'd better do something about this. Let me go ahead and it probably would show up even with the setup I have now. But to be continued on Demon Mask, we will visit it again at some time. I got to get to those news stories at some point. There we go. Back to the studio. Okay, what was the first one? Okay, so it's got it all lined up. Cool. Okay, here we go. Hopefully this works. Oh, wait. Oh, is this a text one? Yes, it's a text one. Okay, sorry about that. Hey, Doug, here's for whipping out that hand so effortlessly. Well done. Why, thank you, Alan. I do appreciate that. Oh, boy. Whipping out these hands, as you can see, it does take some damage from time to time. So thank you very much, Alan J. Mannix. So now we have the next one. Let me get back to my screen. This cartoon is called Mr. Furley versus Demon Mask. All right. So now I got to put in Barney Fife in the comic book. I don't know, call him Barney 6 or something. And I learned this from Pat Dixon that, what's his name? John Waters, the director. His true love, passion, love of his life was Don Knotts. It was his ideal man. They didn't have a relationship or anything. He just, that's, you have crushes on movie stars and stuff. A lot of people were into Farrah Fawcett, but not him. No, Don Knotts, Barney Fife and Mr. Furley. That's what really did it for John Waters. To each their own, of course. All right. I think I did that one. So back to Alan J. Mannix. And we'll take a good look at this. P.S. Now, don't stop the show or anything, but your mic sounds terrible. Definitely sounds like it's just not securely connected. Damn it. Let me hear what that sounds like over here. Well, let me see what it sounds like on the show proper. Now, could the mic finally be deteriorating? Golly, the sound is really low. There we go. It sounds kind of the same to me. I did notice some, snap, crackle, pop type things. Not the cereal, of course. I apologize, but I'm not entirely certain what it could be. Everything is plugged in. It could be because I'm using Rumble, so I can get that Rumble credit. Because I got to go through a different ass backwards system, especially for the super tip to work. So maybe it's that, but I apologize. Let me see here for the next massage. I'd love some original dog drawings. I've drawn a few dogs. No, Doug drawings. Yes, you're right, and I need to get on that. Hopefully, I will soon. But yes, I will make those available for purchase in the future. All right, there we go. I think I got them all. Yeah, that's an old one. That's an old one. Yes, got them all. Thank you very much. Always a joy to receive super tips. And just a lot of fun. That's another thing I need to do. And I did tape a segment of, because I'm going to use my audio play characters like Night Night. I did the Night Night one, and I'll send that over in the hopes that they can make some super tip voices out of those, and I'll send the artwork for the little face. And that way you can have voice tapes of those characters that I do in my Mr. Nailsin Show audio plays. So Night Night being the big one, and so on. There's quite a few that I do over the episodes of the Mr. Nailsin Show, and I haven't done a marathon of them in a while. I put those on my Nailsin Ratings channel, but over at my locals, the individual episodes of those are available there behind the paywall. Look, I got to get something out of this. So those are there and all that stuff. So, but that's the idea. That's the plan, because I only have two voices on there. It's me and Pat Dixon. And I know people get tired of the same old thing. So hopefully I can get that going. Alan J. Mannix, Mike, or Pella, or a cartoon voiceover. I don't know. Pella, I had zero idea he was a superhero. You mean Karmic? Frankly, I'm blown away. Oh, yes. My God, love some Doug original dry, right? I'm going to have to do something about this. Nodak, you're the meaning in my life. You're the inspiration. Chicago, great band. Yep. Probably the favorite band of one Rob Saul. I believe so. Mark XRP, most art is money laundering. Well, there is that. There was a certain son of a certain politician who was just all of a sudden a smash hit artist. Now, not so much. It's strange how that works out. Part-time planting Douglas, part-time planting chat. Mark XRP. I've seen bodies in New York City. Now that's some crazy stuff. Yes. Do you consider bodies art or science or both? Well, there's science involved. And there's art, tattoos and stuff. Alan J. Mannix. Andy Warhol just created manual Photoshop. He was a good illustrator, but he didn't get famous for that. Right. His screen prints became the thing. And, of course, he couched it all into his philosophy of, I want to produce like a machine. So he produced with machines. DC can't get the movies right. Yeah, they stumbled here and there. Marvel had a good run. They're not getting them right lately. I think it's probably over for that. It's sad because everyone's sort of, done with the genre for the moment. There'll always be Batman movies, I'm sure, but they had some pretty good actors for the roles. Henry Cavill should have been a great Superman, Even the new guy, Cornsweat, I think could be a good Superman, but I don't know. It's just apparently not going to happen. Jesus, Howard the Duck is Marvel. I feel like I had a struggle. Yeah, that was oh damn it, Steve Gerber in the 70s, and it was kind of like a parody character, and he would, parody the politics of the time and stuff like that. And yet he was considered canon for Marvel proper. And then George Lucas wanted to do the movie, so there you go. Susan Dillon, Blade. Well, Blade, that was those movies that came out really bankrolled what became Marvel Studios. So yeah, that one got it rolling. I mean, they had movies, like I said, the Captain America movie before that no one saw. And almost a Fantastic Four one, but that was just done for the studio to keep the license. Yeah, Hulk came a little later, but right, and then the Spider-Man movies, the X-Men, which those they licensed out because they had gone into bankruptcy and they needed the money. Well, they weren't going to get far with something like Blade or what have you, so they had licensed out their big guns, which was Spider-Man and the X-Men. Fantastic Four got licensed out, Daredevil did, and the Hulk. And that was pretty much it. After that, most of the characters, the average moviegoer wouldn't know. Spider-Man, they'd recognize, So they just said, well, we got to try to... And so they did that. It was actually kind of daring. I mean, they could just keep licensing out properties and chase that. But they decided to make their own studio. It's actually quite an impressive achievement of what they managed to do. And then they got them this 10-year run of successful movies that dominated the scene. But then wokeness took it down like it took everything else down. And a lot of it, because of wokeness, it kind of benefited for that, because typical genres that were, fairly dependable and bankable for not a lot of money, and then you could make it back, was comedies. But in the woke era, you could not do comedies anymore. Horror managed to survive through most of this, and it still is. It still makes them money and that sort of thing. But the superheroes was the thing. There was nothing else. And then all the other movies and genres and stuff were crapping because they kept infusing them with that garbage. And, and then it came for Marvel, and, well, you see the result. All right, Pella, that old Superman joke where he'd stand there and get shot but duck when they threw the gun at him. Yeah. He didn't want to hurt the gun. It's a valuable piece of weaponry. Okay, let me go ahead and get to my news stories before I no longer have a voice. So I guess I could just go ahead. Would it show me? Show me the story. Okay. Let's see how this goes. Oh, wow, an advertisement. But no thanks. Am I there? I'm there. Oh, crap, I can't take myself out unless I stop the end. No, I don't want that. Yeah, I don't want to. All right, well, you're just going to have to see me there. Maybe I can take off the, what do you call it, the banner. Yeah, I'll take that off. There we go. Look, it's me. So now it's almost like real coverage, except I'm in the wrong position, but well, it's just going to have to go that way. But don't worry, I'll read everything to you. Mom accused of orchestrating campaign to lie to police after allegedly helping her son, 23, kill his teen girlfriend. So I'm guessing, yes, this is the unfortunate victim. She was the teen girlfriend and is no more. And her killer's mother helped the killer. So a mother's being accused of repeatedly lying to law enforcement while trying to cover up the alleged murder of her son's teenage girlfriend. On Friday, October 17th, Charla Pendergrass, 49, and her son Jalen, 23, were each charged with one count of second-degree murder and tampering with evidence in connection with the death of 17-year-old London Thomas. 23 and 17, that's, yeah, that ain't right. During their arraignment hearing in Wayne County, the prosecutor's office accused Charla of showing a willingness to be deceptive. This is a case where I believe the evidence will be abundant that both defendants, but particularly Miss Charla Pendergrass, engaged in an extended campaign to lie to police, lie to law enforcement, which it is the police, to cover up her actions. The prosecutor demanded a high cash bond as a result of the serious nature of the charges, most notably murder. Yeah. So there's the victim again. Thomas was found dead in a plastic bin. That's a trash can. Out inside a vehicle on April 26, having previously been reported missing on April 5th. The vehicle is believed to have been parked in Southfield for 2 weeks. 2 weeks before the discovery. Wixes reported citing Inkster police? Inkster police? It sounds like a police force that polices, tattoo parlors. But I guess, what is it, a county? Or, they're in Detroit. Inkster, I don't know. The FBI and Michigan State Police, so they all got the call. A man claiming to be Charla's friend alleged to police that she asked him to transport a sealed plastic bin. He said he placed the bin in the SUV where Thomas's remains were eventually found on April 11th. A medical examiner determined Thomas's cause of death to be asphyxia. The death was ruled a homicide. That's what the Michigan State Police ride around in case you wondered. Jalen was denied bond during his Friday hearing, while Charla received a cash bond set at $5 million. The pair maintain their innocence in the alleged crimes and are expected to plead not guilty to the charges. I'm so angry and I'm so happy at the same time and satisfied at the same time, said Cedric Salisbury, Thomas's father. We all knew that we were pretty much they were pretty much responsible for what happened. So now we're moving forward and moving in the right direction, going for justice for London. Jalen was arrested and charged in connection with a previous case. Well, good Lord, well, there you go. While Charla was previously arrested, on charges of lying to a peace officer. The charges were later dismissed. Well, they probably shouldn't have been. The Inkster Police in Michigan. So I guess there is a town called Inkster. Is that true? Huh. Well, you learn something new every day, So there you go. A guy who was too old for this girl ended her life. I'm guessing we'll find out she was probably pregnant and that's why he did it. I don't know. But it's one of those, stay tuned. And, well, that's that. So, perhaps, just perhaps, justice will be served in this case. But you can never bring her back, That's the thing about that. That is the thing. Oh, well. Here we go again with another fun-filled story. Oh, yeah. Drunk and high trader's wife who killed man on his first date with Porsche blames her shoes at manslaughter trial. Well, if the shoes aren't quite right and it messes with your ability to feel the pedals right, it could be. Let's take a look. A wealthy Texas woman who was allegedly driving drunk and high when she struck and killed a man who was enjoying his first date, good Lord, has sought to blame the heels she was wearing that night. not the alcohol and drugs. No. It was the shoes. Christina Chambers is facing trial on manslaughter charges in Houston for the deadly crash that took the life of Joseph McMullen, 33, the night of April 19th, 2023. As the trial got underway, Chambers' attorney declared the wreck a freak accident, as he blamed the crash on the client's designer Christian Louboutin, Boutin, I don't know, heels getting stuck on the gas pedal. The sudden curve in the road, which has been the site of crashes in the past, did not help, said attorney Mark Thiessen. This is one of Houston's most dangerous curves, especially when you're drunk and high, you know, and wearing designer heels. But prosecutors told a different story, as they shared how Chambers had gone bar hopping with friends that night and drank at least 6 alcoholic beverages. They also argued she had used cocaine, as small baggies of the illicit substance were found in the back seat of her Porsche and in her purse following the collision. Well, she didn't mention any of that. She just talked about her shoes, you know. Yeah, women in their shoes, you know. Boy, do they love shoes. Anyway, when she was then driving 2 of her friends home, she was the designated driver, driving them home at around 2:25 a.m. in her flashy new sports car. Prosecutors say she reached speeds of up to 70 miles per hour as she approached a curve in the road and jumped the sidewalk where McMullen was walking with his date. Oh, geez. So he wasn't in a vehicle. He was just walking. Oh, man. Ooh, she was itching to show off her sports car. Yeah, well, she did, said prosecutor Andrew Figliuzzi. Okay. So there she is. I didn't mean it, all right? Get off my back. And then here's the unfortunate guy. He was 33 and it was his first date. I mean, the first date with this particular woman, right? It's got to be the... Well, anyway, it didn't... Oh, so there... Holy crap, that's him and his date. Oh, jeez, he was well in there. I mean, this bitch just plowed into him. Wow. McMullen, an audio technician and music lover, had been on a first date with Brianna Torino when tragedy struck. They had wanted to cap off their first date with a walk to get donuts from nearby Voodoo Donuts. As they left Voodoo Donuts at around 2:25 a.m. to walk half a mile back to their cars with their snacks and coffee in hand, Torino said she noticed a pair of headlights speeding toward them. She recounted in court how she realized the Porsche was going to make a precarious turn and head straight toward them. But the Porsche 911 Carrera narrowly missed her, and when Torino went to go warn McMullen, she noticed he was gone. I thought he had gotten out of the way because I couldn't find him. Good Lord. At the same time, however, she felt something graze her hip, which at first she thought was the car. Now, though, she said she realizes she felt her date being tossed 30 feet away as Chambers allegedly continued to drive before she finally crashed into a pole. McMullen was then pronounced dead at the scene. So there's the girlfriend talking to the officer, and there's the car that the drunken bitch wanted to show off, you know? Yeah. But, you know, it was the shoes, you know? It was the shoes. Alfredo Ponce, the general manager of the nearby Slick Willie's pool hall, also took the stand. He told how he heard the crash and rushed outside to help, as he has done several other times before. Yeah. Yep. These do happen a lot. and you witness a lot of them when you work nights. Take it from someone who knows. But this was the worst crash he had ever seen, Pond said, noting that the car smelled of alcohol. Police have since said she was almost 4 times over the legal drinking limit at the time of her arrest, about an hour after the deadly collision. Chambers is now facing manslaughter charges in McMullen's death, which allows prosecutors to argue factors beyond the allegations of drug and alcohol use. She has pled not guilty to the charges. Of course, it's not hers, the shoes, come on, which accuse her of driving at an excessive speed and failing to maintain control of her vehicle. Well, she failed to maintain control of her shoes. And she's like, right? Yeah. And there's her selfies. Yeah. Oh, she's got a tiara and everything, huh? Yeah, little princess. Well, Chambers has since been living in the $1.5 million 3-bedroom, 5-bathroom home she shares with her hedge fund manager ex-husband. Zwan Z, who filed for divorce from her just days after she was released on bail. Boy, he's had enough, huh? Oh, my God. Under the terms of her release, Chambers was not allowed to drive unless she finds a job. Whoa. She shouldn't be allowed to drive at all. I don't care if she gets a job. Oh, man. She can get an Uber to take her to work. It was forbidden from consuming alcohol and must adhere to a curfew between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. But the restrictions have not seemed to stop Chambers from having a life of luxury, as she was reportedly splashing money on designer labels at the luxury department store Neiman Marcus and threw a glamorous birthday brunch for herself. Wow, isn't that nice? The details were included in a $1 million wrongful death suit filed by McMullen's family against Chambers. C, he's trying to get out of this by divorcing her. And the 4 Houston bars she allegedly visited the night of the crash. Yeah, you can't keep serving alcohol to the intoxicated. That's, yeah. The suit accused C of negligent entrustment for purchasing Chambers the $100,000 Porsche that fatally struck their... Well, I don't know if you can make that case, unless she has a history of drunk driving and whatnot. He's trying to deal with his pampered princess that he married. So here, I got you a car, and then, well, look what that did. But still, I'm not sure. But anyway, which was paid for in cash just days before McMullen's death. Yeah, but this is completely and utterly on her. Did he buy her the shoes too? That could be a mitigating circumstance. Anyway, his family members argue in the civil suit that Chambers was unemployed and financially dependent on C, and he entrusted her to operate the powerful sports car despite knowing she was an unfit driver. Okay, here we go to her alleged history of alcohol and drug use. All right, then, so he's in play. He sure is. Yeah. C has denied purchasing the car for Chambers. Oh, claiming instead that she bought the car herself using cash from their joint account. All right, then. He's got a possible way out of this. All right, C. Yeah. He also denied that his wife had a drinking problem and said he had never seen her consume drugs or drive drunk. So but if she does have a history of it, what's the history? Does she have a record of this thing? And she kept it from him. Can he make that case? Oh, those were happier times, Yeah. Do you think she loved him? Or his wallet? Yeah, probably. I'm going maybe not. I don't, Anyway, Sebastian Lopez, a close friend of Chambers who was in the Porsche, on the night of the crash, also said in his deposition that Chambers was an alcoholic and claimed C knew she drank often and did drugs. Yeah, he probably did. He's like, whatever will shut her up, and looked the other way. Well, now he's going to pay because he's the one with the money. She ain't got nothing. Lopez further testified that Chambers had driven drunk on multiple occasions with him. Including a handful of times after she got the Porsche. So it was only a matter of time, Another passenger, but you still rode with her. I mean, I'll wait where you, yeah, probably. Another passenger identified in court records as Miss Reyes also told the McMullen family attorneys that Chambers was bragging that evening about how fast her Porsche could go. Since learning of Chambers' alleged alcohol and drug issues, C admitted he still hasn't encouraged her to go to rehab. I'm not a doctor, he said. I don't infringe on people's medical decisions. Bad answer, C. Or Cy, whatever. The McMullins' wrongful death lawsuit was filed in June 2023. C filed for divorce from Chambers a month earlier on May 3rd, just 2 weeks after the crash. Attorneys at the criminal trial are not allowed to bring up the allegations made in the civil case, which is scheduled to go to trial in April. Yeah, they don't need it. They got her dead to rights. And that shoe story, please. So there you go. Little princess had her toy car, and then she broke it. Oh, and killed some guy who just happened to be walking on, well, not even the sidewalk. I mean, he's really in the parking lot of this store there. Wow. Get off my back, okay? It was the shiz. So, yeah. I guess it's a case of her getting off on the wrong foot. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm not going to say good luck to that. What a spoiled, rotten little bitch, But, well, what are you going to do? Oh, boy, now it's time for some politics, I guess. I don't know. Family of Tony Gonzalez aide, who lit herself on fire, speaks out about claims they were having an affair, meaning she was having an affair with the congressman, Tony Gonzalez. Yeah. Anyway, the grieving mom of a congressional aide who died after setting herself on fire last month denied claims her daughter was having an affair with her married boss, Representative Tony Gonzalez, Republican, Texas. Regina Santos Viles, I guess, mother, Nora Gonzalez, shot down a Daily Mail report that Santos Viles had separated from her husband and had an affair with Gonzalez before her death at her Uvalde, Texas home on September 13th. I don't think it has any merit, Nora Gonzalez told the Post, adding that the claims are completely false. So here's the dearly departed. She was married with a child, and something went horribly wrong. She was a pretty girl, but something's going on here. Nora Gonzalez says she believes the report was completely false. Nora found her daughter badly burned after Santos Aviles doused herself in gasoline before igniting in the backyard of her home. Santos Aviles begged her for water and was later rushed to a nearby hospital where she died. Nora told the Post she is unsure why her daughter doused herself in gasoline. Yes, something happened here, and an affair that went wrong. It could do it, Anyway, surveillance footage reportedly indicated that no one else was home at the time. The Post also reached out to Santos Aviles' husband, but he declined to comment. Boy, he's in a world of of hell right now. Avila separated from her husband after he became aware of the alleged tryst, according to the Daily Mail. Yeah, well, they did separate, so there's another thing. You know, this is the mother. She doesn't want to believe this about her daughter. She's going through a world of hell herself and all that, and it's understandable. But odds are obviously something happened here. Hey, look, it's Elon. But there's the congressman. There she is. And probably was in love with him. That's the scenario you can go with. But he's already married. He's got his political career. And he's like, look, we had our fun, but, you know, and it really broke her. The husband leaves her. He's going to probably get full custody of the child since she's the one who cheated, you know, that kind of scenario. And maybe it really pushed her over the edge. And boy, what a way to oh man. Plus there's probably other emotional, mental issues with her, I would assume, to go that way. So, So Gonzalez is a married man with 6 children. Gonzalez, come on, man. What? So the Gonzalez's spokesperson repeatedly refused to deny the affair claims. When usually they just flat out say it. Jeez, it's not denying it. Uh-oh. When pressed by the outlet, instead issued a statement accusing political bottom feeders. Well, okay, yeah, they're chasing a trashy story, but it's really trashy if it's true, and the only reason it's trashy is because you engaged in this. So, of trying to distort the circumstances surrounding her death. Yeah, but a death like that, you go, good Lord, what happened? How could this? Why would you do that? What, you know? Regina was a kind soul who had a lasting impact on her community, which she continued to serve until her untimely death. To see political bottom feeders distort the circumstances around her passing is truly sickening. Okay, so you're saying it didn't happen, right? Tony Gonzalez remains laser focused on delivering historic achievements for Texas and condemns any attempts to misuse this tragedy. Well, especially if it's not true, right? So, Avils started working for the GOP congressman as his regional director in 2021. It wasn't immediately clear when the alleged affair began or if it was still going on when she died. My guess is it wasn't. And, the last thing she said is, I don't want to die. Oh boy, to her mother. So Nora said that Avils has been agitated over her 8-year-old son spending the weekend with her ex. Well, I'm sure the emotional turmoil contributed somewhat, but it's why did they split, you know? And it's it might be, yeah. Well, it's all horrible, of course, not the least of which the manner of her death, but it's hard to just say, hey, this is a nasty story. You shouldn't be parading that around. But it rings true, because why the hell would someone do something like that, you know? Oh, boy. Consequences, you know. I think I have one more story. Probably 2. I might save that one for last. This one, I don't know. Maybe I'll do that one later. I don't know enough. Because it's the whole Mark Sanchez thing. Everybody heard it. It's weird, but maybe, I don't know. So we'll go with this one. Always want to pick a light story to end on. I mean, primarily because it's really, really stupid. You know? AI image. Oh, am I? Yes. Sorry, I had to check real quick. AI image used in false sex attack claim. All right. A Florida woman contacted police to report that a male assailant had barged into her home, knocked her to the ground, and then committed a sexual assault. While the attacker was a stranger, the woman said, she was able to take a photo of the suspect while he was seated on the couch in her St. Petersburg apartment. So afterwards, he took a break and, I don't know, had a cigarette sitting on her couch maybe. And she's like, now's my chance to get a picture of him. And she did. Well, multiple officers and forensic technicians responded to the scene where Brooke Chenault, a 32-year-old mother of two, said the October 7th attack occurred. But a subsequent police examination of the image provided by Chenault revealed that the photo was AI generated via ChatGPT. Additionally, the photo was found in a deleted folder created days before before she alleged the sexual battery took place. Yeah, that's a mistake, you know. You needed to get rid of that, but yeah, she's a pretty girl, you know, but obviously really just wanted some attention, probably feeling trapped with the kids at home, you know, and just wants everyone to feel sorry for her. At least she didn't, you know, make her kids sick to get attention that way with the, you know, Munchausen crap. Boy, anyway, Chenault was arrested for falsely reporting a crime. She spent a night in jail before posting $1,000 bond. Police and court documents do not include a motive for the bizarre incident. I refer you to my speculation, though. I think so. In a recent post on her Instagram page, Chenault noted that October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month and that she had for years been in an abusive relationship. He sexually assaulted me. But all I can say is I survived. I made it out. Well, did you? I mean, this is, I'm assuming, the baby daddy, and you broke up, and you're still so mad at him that you're smearing him as a predator like that, and now you're caught making up a story about a man who doesn't exist. Yeah. So that's the deal. She's at home with the kids. The marriage failed, and she wants attention and whatnot. Gee, I wonder why the marriage or relationship, whether they got married or not, split up. I wonder why he got tired of her and left. Gee, I can't imagine why. And then she does that. So, hey, it's speculation, and of course, innocent till proven guilty. But well, I think we kind of know. I think we kind of do. Kind of, sort of. Yeah. A new super tip. All right, let me take a little sip here. Coke Zero. I do recommend it, especially if you're diabetic, which I am. All right. Hopefully this I make sure I know where I'm going. Here? No. Here? No. Here. That's the one. Okay.
ダグラス・ネルソンです。犯罪記者イラストレーター、そして自費出版の漫画家です。デモンマスター・ネルソンと呼んでください。
Visiting Japan this winter, any ideas for me, Doug? I know you're a comics guy. You ever get all weeaboo and make the plunge into Japanese comics? Or is that shit just too silly for you?
Accidentally turned the studio off. So, apologies. Let me play it again. Damn. Ah.
ダグラス・ネルソンです。 犯罪記者イラストレーター、そして自費出版の漫画家です。デモンマスターネルソンと呼んでください。
Visiting Japan this winter. Any ideas for me, Doug? I know you're a comics guy. You ever get all weeaboo and make the plunge into Japanese comics? Or is that shit just too silly for you?
Well, yes, I have read some of manga, not manga. Yeah, it was never really quite taken with it, but it is massively popular. It really is more popular than American comics these days. And it's too bad I never adopted the style. You know. So I do have a couple I haven't delved into yet. It's on the stack of books I need to get to. There's one was actually a manga, a Batman comic that Doomcock got for me for Christmas. And I got to get into that. And then there was another one that was actually a suggestion of his, is a zombie apocalypse story called I Am a Hero, I think. And so I will be delving in to those. But I have a lot of respect for it. But I was never a big follower or fan of it. I'm stuck where I am in the styles that I like and that sort of thing. But as far as going to Japan, well, there's the sites, visit Hiroshima. I've never been. My cousin has, his son has been, stuff like that. But I've never been. It's got to be really cool. So I'm envious. So you're going to have a great time, I suspect. So do enjoy. And sure, pick up some manga. Of course, it'll all be in Japanese. But you did pretty good here, huh? So it should work out. But, one of the things they did, there was some comparable things of that in American comics, but a lot of that, they would put these, like, phone book, if you remember phone books, of sized collections of them, and they were black and white and everything, but I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. You could sell a lot of those. We stuck to the little floppy pamphlet style, which, of course, I have a fondness for. It's what I'm used to and all that, but I always thought they should have changed it more to book nature than that, especially now that even the whole periodical, market and whatnot really ceased to exist. So, unfortunately, when I did what I did, and turned out, I think the old chat disappeared. I could jump over to YouTube, I suppose, and try to catch some of them, but that's all my fault. Oh, wait, I got another little message. I'd like to commission a drawing from you. Well, that's another thing. That's a good idea. And likewise, it would be similar to what Pat does with his piano playing. Could do that. But, of course, then you would want the drawing as well. So, whereas Pat doesn't have to give you his piano or anything. I don't know. Or a studio recording of his rendition of something. He should put out an album. Pat sings the hits, So another great idea, of course. And that'll have to be in conjunction with the overall idea that I would just sell a lot of these drawings and whatnot. And then more directly, and I got to set up I think I would set up a specific email and whatnot just for that purpose. And the only problem is my schedule is horrendous. And I worry about I'll be late in shipping the material off. And it would really bother the hell out of me, even more than you. And you're the one who paid for it and you want to get it, and that kind of thing. So, but you're absolutely right. It's an obvious thing I need to do. And somehow, some way, I will figure it out in my own clumsy way. Oh, the eccentricity. It abounds with me. Anti-derivative Jill says, wee! Pell, me too, and I have my Coke Zero right here. good, isn't it? It is. Thank God for Coke Zero. Never would I have thought would I be so pleased and happy with zero. But I got to admit, I am. Lugs, we're still here, Doug. Yeah, I know. Of course. At least I got, of course, apparently my mic sounds terrible tonight, but at least you can hear something. I can't stand this crap. This shit. Look, you can't deny he's got a style. Mark XP, the sound difference is deafening. Jeez, really? Oh, now I gotta go listen to it. I don't know. It sounds okay to me. I'm sorry. I don't know what that is. Anti-Derivative, we heard it, Doug. Oh, you mean for the super tip? Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, okay. Okay. So it was much louder than my own mic, huh? I don't know. Susan Dolan, I didn't know Scotty R37 did voiceovers. Well, I appreciate the comment, Susan, but it's lost on me. Lugs, heard it just fine. Well, that's good to know. And again, thanks for the super tips. Always a delight. No, that was a super loud tip. Wow. What the hell? Why is it so loud? Do I have it turned up too much in the OBS? But then it's going to lower my own mic too. I wonder if I do it would this one do it? Well, that's still affecting my own. I don't know. Let me test. Let's do the test. Let's do the test.
ダグラス・ネルソンです。犯罪記者、イラストレーター、そして自費出版の漫画家です。デモンマスター・ネルソンと呼んでください。
Visiting Japan this winter. Any ideas for me, Doug? I know you're a comics guy. You ever get all weeaboo and make the plunge into Japanese comics? Or is that shit just too silly for you?
I do see the elevated, but apparently turning this down didn't do anything. Turn this down. Let's turn down the mic. It does. It's coming through OBS, so that should have an impact.
ダグラス・ネルソンです。犯罪記者、イラストレーター、そして自費出版の漫画家です。デモンマスター・ネルソンと呼んでください。
Visit.
I don't know. No. So, apology for the troubles with the sound. But once again, old clueless Doug. He's clueless. We love him. We love him. But old clueless Doug. I don't know what all this is. Everybody saying hi to one another. Lugs, Doug, I Am a Hero is pretty fucking good. I hope you enjoy. There's a live action movie. Oh, really? That summarizes the first few volumes or so. You might enjoy. Probably will. You know, the last really good zombie movie, which I'm kind of, thanks to Walking Dead, burned out on zombies. But that Journey to Busan from South Korea, that's a great zombie movie. That's a really good one. I really did like that one. Anti-Derivative Jill, Doomcock bought me a comic too. It was a Star Trek one set in the Mirror Universe. Wow. Yeah. There's some good Star Trek comics out there. Even the real old ones. The Gold Key ones are good. You know. I remember one where they were supposedly the Enterprise had discovered the actual birthplace of the universe, the Big Bang, and so they're flying into it to study it. And they said, oh, we could actually see matter being created, or oh, this will be interesting. They keep going and then suddenly they're in this completely dark void. You can't see anything or nothing. Like, oh, we've left the universe. But then suddenly there's this capsule floating in there. They're like, what the hell? So they bring it aboard, and out pops out Captain Kirk. But he's Captain Kirk from a previous universe, and so he reveals to them that the universe keeps collapsing and repeating the same thing over and over. And they just, for whatever reason, his federation decided, hey, we need to try to avert the repetition and guide the direction in a different way, because this Captain Kirk would know their future. I don't see how it would work, since he was the same age as the Captain Kirk who finds him. So whatever his reference to history and whatnot would be something they've already known. So I don't know. But it was interesting. And plus, part of the clues was his uniform looked very different from, their Kirk's and all that. And so it was like, well, it probably wasn't completely repetitive, it was just sort of similar, but it was a different bent on the whole multiverse thing, because it wasn't really a multiverse. That Kirk's universe ceased to exist. So the idea was that he was to take the place of the current Captain Kirk, and then the current Captain Kirk gets in the capsule, goes into suspended animation to await the eventual destruction and rebirth of the universe. Then he gets picked up by the new Captain Kirk and says, oh, here's my message and all that. Well, he decided he didn't want to do that, and they ended up putting him back in it. So they had interesting things like that. I do remember that one. The phone books ended in the 90s. Oh, they don't do it anymore. Damn it. Bastards. Oh, you mean the actual phone books, not the manga thick collections? For a while, Marvel would do like their essential collections, was similar to that. It was all black and white, but you'd get. I've got a couple of those. Yeah, but again, they stopped the Masterworks too. Now that was like in full color, remastered and everything. They did a buttload of those, and some of them they're hard to get, and they're not going to be in print anymore. So. Bastards. Lugs, I will report back on my Japan trip when I return. It's a Thanksgiving trip, and my friend and I will cook American Thanksgiving food for real-life Asians. Wow. So the experience will be theirs. Lugs, if the anime I watch is any indication, they'll be saying things like, it's the fear. Yes. Hello. LOL, wow. Lugs, yeah, it's a couple of decibels louder than you for sure. Yeah, I did notice it is a bit higher. I didn't think it was overwhelming, but I guess it was. But, you're supposed to listen to it, so everybody shut up when it plays. Mark XRV, dear Lord. Mark's XRV, my dog just woke up. Rudy Vaga, yeah, it's pretty. Oh, the dog woke up because of the sound. Wow. Now, Doug's, because I was messing with it. That's why I was quieter, yeah. Now we can't hear you. Clueless Doug, but he votes the right way. Don't we love him, folks? Mark says yes. Well, thank you, Mark. Lugs, I'm tired of zombie shit as well. They really wrung all the juice out of that premise in the last 10. They did. Mark, what's in that cup? That's Coke Zero. That's what's in there. Lugs, I Am a Hero is gorgeously animated and super weird, though. Good, surreal, dark comedy kind of vibe. It's more about mental illness than zombies. Lugs means, the illustrations. Yeah, I did look through it. It's great art. It's very, very good in that aspect, the aesthetics. Pellel, maybe the new Captain Kirk was a liar and was named... Captain Carm. Well, they would have noticed, the bug eyes and everything. Mark, I hate that multiverse Inception BS. Well, I have a love-hate thing for it. I mean, it harkens back to original DC Comics, who was really the ones doing. Marvel did it sort of, kind of, but not quite as much as they did. And it came in as just basically an explanation for the differences between the two eras of DC, where they rebooted their characters in the late 50s and early 60s. And then they said, oh, well, the original version still exists, but it's on another Earth. And then they would have these occasional, like, Justice League annuals where they would cross over and team up and stuff. And that's all it really was. And then they ended all that, supposedly, with Crisis on Infinite Earths in the late 80s, which in and of itself, it's a cool series, 12 issues of Crisis on Infinite Earths. And really liked it and all, but the damage it did to DC's identity overall, they've never really recovered from it. And they, for the life of me, can't figure out, they could have just kept it simple. You only had, you really only had 2 Earths. And there was a third one for the evil super people, Ultraman and all that. And then there was the Shazam world, which was because they had bought the Shazam characters. Stuff like that. Every now and then someone could make up another one just for shits and giggles and all that sort of stuff. But that was it. As far as constantly doing stuff, well, so-and-so isn't dead because on this other Earth, there he is. Yeah, but it's not the same guy. It doesn't really work. And any outcomes of stories are ultimately meaningless because, well, just in the next door new universe, it happened differently. Yeah. Yes, if he has a goatee, he's evil. Yes. So, if I ever grow a goatee, you're going to realize it's my alternate universe doppelganger. And I'll be a total asshole. More so than usual. Goatee Spock was bad at. Yeah, he was. And he was pretty much the same Spock if you caught on to that. They flat out say it at the end. But anyway, yeah, that was a cool episode. Rudy Baga, like Spock meeting Ming the Merciless. Yeah. I know you probably get recommended shit all the time, but you might also enjoy British dark comedy series Flowers. Just off the top of my head, it's from 2017 or so, libtarded, but what is it? Well, yeah, that's true. There was always a liberal bent to films and shows for the most part. When they go full hardcore leftists, it's over because there's no creativity, there's no art in it. You can't be funny, you can't be creative at all. You've got to constantly be obsessing about skin and genitals, all that, and it destroys everything. So, but little inklings of it here and there was somewhat tolerable. So, yeah. But yeah, I'm not familiar with Flowers. There's a lot of great British shows that I like. A lot of the comedies are good. Not just Monty Python, which of course is great. But of course, I was all into Doctor Who and Blake Seven, stuff like that. Easily one of the greatest television shows ever made, just in this sweet realism it seemed to achieve, was All Creatures Great and Small. Was really quite the achievement. Wes Cagle, it's too loud if you are listening to the stream with headphones. Otherwise, it's not bad. Wow. I wonder why it didn't blow my eardrums out. I mean, even when I played it back, I'm going to have to figure that out. Lugs features one of my favorite actors, Julian Barrett, as the father. Hello, like when Scooby teams with the Globetrotters. Well, even Gilligan's Island ended up with the Globetrotters. Lugs, my favorite shit is when they harken back meaningfully to the Golden and Silver Age heroes, like Sandman, Mystery Theater, did the classic Sandman, Wesley Dodd. Yeah, that was a cool thing they did, And that was the thing. It was like, oh, we're gonna streamline the whole line. We're just gonna retire all that. But then it's like after a certain time, you're gonna lose your trademark and copyright rights if you don't keep it in print. So there's there to consider. But also, you're throwing all that away for no good reason, especially when there was significant enough differences between the two versions of it. And plus, I never really took to the idea that the Justice Society was the team of the past and the likes, and you have to take away Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman from them, which was always the original lineup with them being a part of it. And then add that, oh, well, they're the younger heroes that came later. It's something like Superman is not that is not going to have that big of an impact on the public the way he did originally. If he's just another guy in a cape flying around, these are people who would have known about superpowered people like the original Flash and Green Lantern. Green Lantern, who can do just about anything with that ring of his. And then Dr. Fate and the like, and the Spectre. After you've seen crap like that, Superman showing up, and it's like, why does he call himself Superman? What's super about him? He's just another dumb superhero. You know, it kind of loses all the allure, and yet, it had such an impact. I don't think it works. I think it's a mistake, which is why you gotta keep them separated. Luke's kind of a Watchmen vibe with, the Sandman Mystery Theater. And it's a callback. Sandman works like an old Pulp Fiction type character, like the Shadow and stuff like that. Luke's, I guess Neil Gaiman is persona non grata nowadays with the sexual abuse allegation. Sort of. A lot of these guys ultimately get a pass on it. There's just there doesn't appear to be a real criminal case in that. It's just really creepy. But as far as like a full-on assault or something, it just doesn't look like there's going to be a, criminal case or whatnot. I suppose civilly, I don't know, but as far as his reputation, it's tarnished, sure. But you know how they are in the entertainment world, You just never know. Sometimes they'll torch one, they'll throw them to the flames, while they're all guilty of the same thing. And then someone else will do it. Anyway, Mark, so the question is, did the comics create the multiverse or did science? Sci-fi has become science. Is this a self-fulfilling prophecy? There's a lot of astrophysicists who believe in it. Is there any actual compelling physical evidence to suggest it? There's a couple of things where they notice, and I'm not an astrophysicist. I'm fascinated by documentaries about it and whatnot, but they notice a certain mirroring of electrons and whatnot that seems to indicate something of that nature. And so the theory would be that on a different, I guess, vibrational plane, another universe could exist. It's just short of some sort of wormhole portal you cannot cross over between the two. But then again, maybe there are gravitational anomalies that result in just that. Some of the theories being people seeing ghosts or stuff and that kind of thing. You're actually seeing somebody from another universe briefly. And then, I don't know. And there's different kinds of multiverse. Another multiverse theory is that you've got this cluster of galaxies that we're a part of, and then there's nothing but void surrounding it. But if you traverse that void, eventually you get to, oh, look, another cluster of galaxies, but it's the exact same as the one we're in. But things might happen differently. That's an odd one, but, Then there's time travel. Oh, boy. Well, the grandfather paradox. If you travel back in time and you end up in a fight with some guy and you kill him, turns out he was your grandfather, but he's like really young, so you didn't recognize him or whatever. And then you're like, oh, no, now I don't exist. But if you didn't exist, you didn't travel back in time to kill your grandfather, so it could never have happened. But how could it? Alternate timeline. You've created an alternate timeline where your grandfather died at a young age and never met your grandmother to give birth to your mother or father, so on and so forth. So this is a world where that family line never existed. But, you're like an interloper from the universe where it did. Can you get back to your original timeline? I don't know. But it's like this would depend on someone being able to travel through time. This is another thing that the physicists speculate on. Einstein himself did. But the gravitational forces to be able to create the scenario by which you can travel backwards in time seems a little, unless there's actual, anomalies like wormholes or something like that could just make it happen, and that sort of thing. But as to have a time machine seems unlikely. But it seems like the scenario, yes, would then be created that way. But if there's already, well, so what's the difference? If there's already a multiverse where this sort of shit happens anyway, is it all created by weird time travel shit? And it's dependent on some guy making an idiot mistake or whatever, or not making it? I don't know. Look, stories that take place in the 30s and 40s should have the potential for classic heroes. I also really like the Elseworld style reimaginings like Victorian Batman, Lovecraftian Superman. Yeah, they're fun, you know, and especially very isolated and contained for where it is. I've enjoyed an awful lot. In fact, right now, those are the best ones. Even though DC does a little better than Marvel, Marvel is just dead. It's still not quite, you know, as good as it could be. But the out of continuity, and it's the same is true of Marvel. Some of their, not as good as DC's doing, I would argue, but some of their, you know, Spider-Man symbiote suit years, you know, before it became Venom and all that. Some of those were good and fun and stuff like that. But yeah, the out of continuity stories, because they're kind of isolated and they're not bothered by all that crap, and they can pursue whatever the narrative is. And they tend to be much better. As for one of the things about when the DCEU or Snyder first failed and all that, instead of doing the DCU, I thought they should have go back to the past and set Batman and Superman in the late 30s. Yeah, I think a lot of the retro sci-fi looking stuff, Superman battling giant robots like he did in those old cartoons, stuff like that, might have gone a long way. It's just a thought. But I'm afraid the moment has passed. Lugs, I've spoken to European liberal millennial girls recently, and they're still angry at Louis C.K. for being an abuser, dude. They live in a different world. Yeah, they don't think it through. You know, this is a consensual act. It's weird as fuck. The only argument they made was, well, his power. At the time, he was not the Louis C.K. that, you know, we came to know, and he was knocking it out the park. He had TV shows and then movies and stuff like that. You know, he was well known in the club circuit and all that, but he says, hey, look, I really want to do this. You girls okay with this? And they said yes. And I mean, some of them admitted they were just laughing while he was doing it, which probably feeds into this weird kink that he has, this fetish for, I don't know, the humiliation. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. But it's like, oh, he's a monster. He's just really, he's got this weird fetish. It's weird, but that's not on par with Ted Bundy. You know, it's nowhere near that. I never brought up politics once, other than I like being an American because I think it's funny that we're seen as brash, rude idiots. And they agreed. It was cool, LOL. Lugs, I must go back in time to bang grandma like Futurama. Yeah, I know. That was because his grandpa was gay. So he's like, hey, how did the family line ever happen? Well, it was you. Right. My understanding is that matter can skip forwards in time conceivably without being destroyed. I guess, you know, the theory, one of them was that how you can make a time machine is you're going to need two wormholes and then connect, I don't know, the two of them. I don't know, butt to butt, mouth to butt, mouth to mouth. I don't know. And that way you can go backwards. Going forward, you can do. And of course, the gravitational distortions that happens is like Interstellar. That's pretty damn accurate of what they did in that movie. You know, for him, it's a couple of hours. He comes back. His little 10-year-old daughter is now an old lady dying in the hospital. You know, he's like, oh shit. As far as that business of him able to speak to the past through the bookshelf, I don't know about that. You know, that's getting into, you know, I guess a God played a role in the story. Mark says, exactly, LOL. Love your insight, dog. Well, thank you. Lugs, I think one of the things that makes Elseworld stuff cool is how self-contained. Yes, exactly. That goes a long way for it. And they can even like the Gotham by Gaslight, the Gotham by Gaslight story. Actually, its mood and atmospherics is more interesting, and Mignola's work on it. It's kind of a dumb story, really, but it clicked and worked, and that thing is still going. And they're doing the Justice Society version of it now, and I'm liking it. It's similar to the Doom that came to Gotham with the Lovecraftian stuff, but still, which could fit right in with the same era or whatever. But that's fine too, because they're all rather quick mini-series type things, and it's still contained within it, instead of this, soap opera that goes on forever. I think one of the things that make self-contained stories, you don't have to tie everything to the 70s, to 70 years of bad writing decisions. Yeah. Mark, James Gunn is ruining the canon with his own writing. It's an abomination. Yeah, he just wasn't the guy for it. There's some of those characters I think he'd be fine with. I think he could do a great Lobo movie. I liked his Suicide Squad. I like the first season of Peacemaker. That's not really Peacemaker. It's not really Suicide Squad either, but but Superman, he did rein in his antics somewhat, but he was not the guy to do a Superman movie. He just wasn't. Sometimes you got to check that ego and be the position he's in, which is a manager of this franchise and effort, and find the talent that could do a Superman movie. But I'm afraid it's already too late. We'll see, but it doesn't look good. Mark, I like Peacemaker season 1. Number 2 sucked. It did. It's unfortunate. It didn't have to. There was some things they could have made work there, but totally woke. Just like, it was competing with The Boys, and The Boys was good until it wasn't. Just, Lugs, I like how no matter how insane and evil Homelander gets, Twitter people will still make badass Hyperborea edits of him. Yeah, no. Lugs, yes, I agree with him. Mark, he made Superman look like a pussy. Pretty much. Yeah, it's like the initial, gee, so powerful. I don't know how to figure that out. So I'll just make him weak and shit. And then the next minute he's flipping over a Godzilla creature or something. It's like, look, that's not how that's going to work. You got to think this through. And you're supposed to be a creative. Figure it out. You're being paid what? Billions? So, I don't know. There'll be another Superman. Well, there's going to be Man of Tomorrow. He's got that. His contract runs out next year, but he will have that shot by then. And we'll see. But the idea that DCU will be a bankable thing to continue based on the performance of a Supergirl movie, I doubt it. Now, maybe stranger things have happened, but the Green Lantern show might be cool. I hope it is. I doubt it. It's got Lindelof working on it and Tom King. The big red flag wasn't Gunn himself. It was his constant praise of Tom King. And I'm like, oh my God. Did you really read that crap? Yeah. So, and it looks like it's all going to come to fruition. So, I don't know. Don't know. Gen V is good, not as woke. Okay. I kind of bail. I never did even finish the last season of The Boys. I just like, I'm tired of this shit. And I just kind of forgot to catch up on it. I guess I will. Looking forward to the new Vault show. Boy, they're really milking this thing. But we'll see. I don't know. Luke, I had high hopes for the old Batman versus Superman movie. In the trailer, they were showing the interesting part about Superman that Batman feared and the psychotic part of Batman that Superman feared. Yeah, there was stuff there. It's just Batman versus Superman was tasked with something a movie really couldn't do. it was a catch-up movie with Marvel. They were trying to do in that what Marvel did in 4 or 5 movies at that point. It wasn't going to happen. Once you have the grounding of the characters. Now, in another narrative where this plays as a sequel to Man of Steel, yeah, kind of, sort of, I suppose. But it wasn't going to be able to, and you're throwing this out, and then suddenly Wonder Woman's there and all this stuff. And the theatrical version is terrible. The fuller directors at it, it gives you more information about Luthor's plot and all that. It works better. It's still a flawed film. I got a lot of it. There's lots of Martha, and everyone makes a joke about it, even though I said, yeah, I know, but they laid the groundwork for it. He's a very broken Batman, and ultimately he has to confront that he was wrong. He was wrong about Superman. And it's that element that snaps him out of it. You see why he's broken. Maybe they needed a little more of that, but it's Robin's dead. The Joker killed him. A second horrible, murder that he suffered, and he's had it. He's a very brutal, vicious man, and Superman's like, well, this isn't right, and that's the conflict between the two of them. Then, of course, the tease of the ultimate. Their Thanos being Darkseid, and what that could lead to, and that overall narrative. Plot-wise, could have worked, but, And, of course, Batman and his philosophy and whatnot, you have to fear power. You always have to keep it in check. You can never fully trust it. And so that is a point on his part. And Superman is incredibly powerful. So... Jared Leto, the worst Joker ever. Well, yes, Cesar Romero. Cesar Romero's a great Joker. Especially all covered up in that nonsense, the tattoos and everything, trying to differentiate it from, Heath Ledger and all that. It was, some of that just chalks up it was too soon to go there or whatnot. In the right hands and reined in, maybe he could have done something. I never got on the obsession with Jared Leto as far as the hatred of him. He's a weird dude. But yeah, that just wasn't going to work. They at least needed it. What they needed to do was do Man of Steel 2, do a Superman movie, get to work on introducing your new Batman and Wonder Woman. The Wonder Woman, that first Wonder Woman movie, it's astounding how good it was. That's a really good movie. The follow-up is just trash. I don't know what the hell happened, but that's the concept of a shared universe. Movies are supposed to stand on their own, and you still got to achieve that at some level to still make this work, despite the fact that the strength comes out of linking them. But that's what Marvel had done, and you needed to do the same. Just because Superman and Batman are well known, and you got that going for you, but at the same time, this is your Superman and Batman. They're always going to be a little different depending on who's in charge of them. And you had to flesh that out. And there just wasn't time to do it like that. And really, Man of Steel, it didn't make Marvel money, and they panicked. They should not have panicked. You got to build on that. Iron Man wasn't a $1 billion movie, and so you build out of it. But they didn't do it that way. And they didn't really learn that lesson. James Gunn comes in, DC Universe is fully established. There's all these other superheroes that had to come in and save Superman, and oh well. But no, he's top dog. Why? Yeah. Oh well. Okay. However, Batman was cutting Superman's face with the kryptonite spear. I admit I was cheering, finish him. Well, you saw his nightmare, We need more Punishers these days on the RX. Well, yeah. Okay, final one. Lugs, one of my favorite things about Justice League is that it's completely canon that Batman always has a lead canister with kryptonite on him just in case. Yeah, well, there was a story where Superman got brainwashed by Brainiac or something like that, and it spooked him so badly that he went to Batman and gave him the kryptonite. He says, one day you're the one I know will do the right thing. If I lose control or someone takes control of me and uses me as a weapon, you know what to do. And that could go a long way also, instead of just the confrontation that they both had. Both of them had mothers named Martha. But that Superman is I understand your position. I understand. And that's another flaw in the story. Really, Superman couldn't tell him, look, you're being manipulated by Lex Luthor, stupid. And that's another problem. Batman, one of the most brilliant minds on the planet. I mean, granted, I suppose you can argue Lex Luthor is smarter, but just on that, and Batman doesn't figure that out. And especially scenes like the Batmobile chase scene and all that for the Kryptonite. It looks great. It's glorious to look at, but ultimately stupid. And then after all that, he just goes into Luthor's company, and there's the Kryptonite just waiting for him. And Batman he's not suspicious about that at all. That doesn't work. But a scene ultimately where Superman says, I do agree, you have a point. And, you got to have some back and forth where he's come to respect, Bruce Wayne and his position, even though he doesn't agree with it. But ultimately he says, this is the guy who could prevent me. For the worst nightmare of Superman is that his powers would be used to hurt people. And so he's going to give him that kryptonite. You'll know what to do if that happens. Yeah. I am beat, getting a sore throat from sitting here talking about Batman and Superman. Batman is the best hero of all Marvel and DC because he's just a man with no mutant abilities and all that. That's gone a long way. And Batman, Superman he's the foundation of superheroes and all that. And certainly of DC Comics. But Batman long ago surpassed him. Batman's the star. And that's why I say if this whole thing with DCU and all that collapses, well, don't feel too bad. There'll always be Batman movies. He's kind of like James Bond. There's always going to be one. For Marvel, there'll always be Spider-Man movies. So, yeah, Batman he clicked. Wasn't always like that. At one point, he was in danger of being canceled. The sales got so bad. But they revived him in the 70s and all that. And he's been a big star ever since. And also probably the most mentally ill hero, even more than the Question. The Question done right would be a great, probably a show rather than a movie. But they killed him off and replaced him with a lesbian. What's that? Why couldn't she just be her own character, and say she was inspired by him and all that? I'm so sick of that crap. Luke's, dude, the cartoon movies doing justice to the Question and making him like Alex Jones. And the Justice League and all that they did, that was great stuff. That was really cool. That Justice League series got really good. That whole Luthor plot and stuff that they were doing, that was like high drama, And then it was a moment in time, and they've never been able to recapture that. Certainly, Batman the Animated Series beats out every superhero cartoon ever done. And I guess, like I said, it was a moment in time, and now it's gone. Cornelius Clown Cock. I can't wait for Douglas Nelson to do the ROTC intro, the ROTC intro. I'll have to get back to that at some point. I don't know. Luke's can't wait for Batman 2077. Even he's gay by then. Oh, there's some already. Oh, he's gay. He's just in denial. Gay fantasies, huh? Yeah. Well, there you go on that happy note. I got to take a break, take off. Thanks for everybody stopping by. Thanks for the super tips. That's always cool. Well, where's there it is. We'll hopefully do this again soon. Maybe more of an extended drawing one. And I probably won't say very much. I'm really feeling the throat going raw. Jeez. Starting to hurt. It hurts. Crap, I got to tape the Nailsin Show. What the hell am I going to do? I didn't even tape my vocals for the cruise story. Well, there might not be an episode for The Cruise if you're keeping up with that one. I did do one for Sun King, and that'll be on there. So thank God I did that. That's probably going to be about it. Oh, jeez. I feel awful because my throat hurts. But what are you going to do? These are the things. The cruise, I typically do 6 episodes of those a year. It's a horror story, so it plays out during October, but of course that ends up being, unless I double up, it would only be 4 episodes in the month. So I'll think of something. I'll probably have to double those up, but it'll probably continue into November or something like that. But, whatevs. And those also archived at the NailsinRatings.locals.com. Oh, crap. I forgot to do the advertisement for the comic book store. So, oh, wait. Maybe do it like this. Come on. Go to the other window, you asshole. You asshole. Asshole. Oh, there it goes. Yeah. Oh, no, I need to be back to the studio. There we go. So anyway, here it is. Indie Planet. That's indieplanet.com/Douglas little dash, Nelson. Oh, look, it's called Douglas Nelson. Hey, that's me. So there you go. There's Doodleverse Comics collecting quite a bit of artwork and comic strips for the next one. It should be much bigger than the original one in size. I don't know about popularity, but, we'll see. So here you go. You got this comic book of Etc. Woman battling the Rat Man. Night Night, based on those audio plays of the same name. From the Mr. Nailsin Show podcast on RadioMisfits.com or wherever you get your podcast. And there's 3 of those. Currently working on the next one to this one, number 4. And then Sun King number 2 is on the way with Bubba Stargon as the backup feature. And finished the artwork for Sun King, but I'm coloring the artwork for Bubba. And then I'll ship that off too. So anyway, there you go. There's 6 titles already there for you to check out, should you choose to do so, at your leisure to enjoy. Oh, boy. That sounds like fun, doesn't it? I would say, and I did just now. If you weren't listening, well, that's on you, All right, thanks for watching. We'll do it again soon, and I'll chit-chat with you then. Have a good rest of your night, and I'll see you later.
Killers, killing it, killing it, killing it, killing it. Nelson News. Where all the money go? Ain't nobody gonna know. Do you trust your meat to take a walk down the street? While killers be killing and killing and killing and killing. Nelson News. Ain't nobody gonna know. Do you trust your meat to take a walk down the street while killers be killing and killing and killing and killing? Nailsin News. News.
Player, Claire.
Douglas Nelson left this the other day.
Go, ladies man here. Check out my OnlyFans. Don't be jealous. I'm a worker. Peace, baby.
You didn't get it in time. And now it's 3 days late, you stupid piece of shit. Good timing, Doug. Look at me, I draw cartoons. Gay.